Hi, and welcome to Loving the Planets for the week of August 20th, 2018. I'm Armand Diaz in Long Island, New York.
And I'm Margaret Gray in Dublin, Ireland.
Well, Margaret, I guess the week kind of gets off to a little bit of a smoother start, but as we build towards the weekend, things get a little bit hotter again.
Yes, and the big thing is, of course, that the sun moves into Virgo, and when the sun changes signs, the general kind of atmosphere changes a little bit, and we've got really a very earthy sun coming up. So on the one hand, that's pretty good because I think it's going to help us all to feel a little more grounded, which is always positive for relationships. However, the sun in Virgo can be also a little nitpicking. So just to be careful not to be too critical of ourselves and our loved ones during this week. Particularly,
I can't believe that you're saying that it's good for relationships that the sun goes into Virgo when it's been in Leo. I mean, what more romantic, creative, heartfelt, loving sign could you possibly? It's going to go into Virgo and things are going to get better.
not that you're a little biased towards Leo, Armand, but I agree. Leo is very heart-centered. But, Virgo does bring us down to earth a little bit more. It's very practical and it's about being of service. So it's kind of good in relationships to also think about being of service as well as thinking about ourselves and thinking about being romantic, isn't it? Maybe?
You say so. I don't know. So I'm not sold on the point, but we'll leave it to the viewers to decide.
Okay. Now, moving right along, swiftly right along, how about we talk about the full moon in Pisces? This is kind of an interesting full moon, isn't it? Because it's a very watery full moon. So there's really going to be a lot of emotions floating around this weekend. And we're going to start feeling it on Saturday. Now, it could be there's the potential also for some romance, but there's also, I'll let you finish what there's also, Armand, because I know you're dying to get in there.
No, that's being patient. There's also the potential for too much romance, too much emotionality. Now, Venus squares Pluto Friday, and we'll be feeling that towards the back end of the week generally. And, I know you're going to say this is a potentially passionate aspect, and it's coming at the full moon, and it's actually coming as Mars is slowing down to station on Monday. And I feel that there's a lot of intensity. I bet you could have some excitement and romance and passion. And I wonder if you might not look at it later and go, I shouldn't have done that.
There could be. So a little bit of cautiousness because there could also be a little bit of confusion around. Whenever we have Pisces, there's romance and there's, the potential for unconditional love, which sounds wonderful, but there can also be confusion and a fog around. So we may not fully be clear. And remember that, of course, Mars is still retrograde. So we're still not in a moving forward kind of phase. We're still in reviewing things phase. So just to be cautious. Now, there is the Grand Trine in Earth, which is, gives it, again, a little bit of grounding. So the fogginess, may not be as much as it usually is during a full moon in Pisces. I mean, what are your thoughts about this Grand Trine?
The Grand Trine between the Sun and Uranus and Saturn certainly looks really great. It's a wonderful creative type of energy. I feel that it does help us to build practical things. Not entirely sure that relationship gets the full benefit of that, like some other areas of life. But if you're feeling good about other stuff, maybe that'll help relationship. I personally speaking, I look at that Venus square Pluto, and I think, at the full moon, at the full moon in Pisces, when we're so emotional, when it's not the most contained, not the most contained full moon. And then this Venus-Pluto square could really be a very contentious point. I don't know that the Grand Trine in Earth is going to help that out too much. I have to say, a relationship that's okay will probably get through this without much of a bump in the road. But if you've been under stress, this could be a real red flag type of time.
Also, I'm thinking things like jealousy, obsessions, that really with that Venus Pluto, I think can come to light. So things like, wanting to know what your ex is doing or what a potential new person might be doing or whatever. So just to be a little cautious of that, because again, there's that fog of confusion. So we're not clear. We don't know what's going on. We are revisiting old things. So we're really, there's a bit of a jumble around. So what would we suggest to people for the weekend? Really have some fun. I always think go along with what the energy is of the full moon, which is water. So be near water, maybe if you're near the ocean. I mean, we're at the tail end of the summer, so maybe enjoy some of that. If you can, go for a swim, listen to nice music. And if you're going for a date, on a date, just be aware that these energies are not very clear right now.
Yeah, I mean, it might be a time to sort of tune out and try not to take things too seriously if they're not really that serious. It could be a mountain out of molehill type of situation for some folks, I think.
That's not going to be easy to do, though, with that Venus Pluto. So I think once things start going, people might just go on that road. So maybe spend some nice time with friends as well. Just do something with friends that you kind of feel safe with, that there's no agendas with. Sometimes that can be a lot simpler.
Yeah, I think that's a good strategy. And with that Sun, Saturn, Uranus trine, you might find other areas of life that you're really able to devote yourself to take some of the stress away from relationship as well.
And don't forget, everyone, that we're doing our workshop together in Dublin on the 2nd of September. That's coming up really quickly on compatibility in relationships, and we'd love to meet you in person.
Love to see you there.
See you next week, Armand. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Margaret. Hi, and welcome to Loving the Planets for the week of, what is it, the week of?
It's the week of August 20th.
Hi, and welcome to Relationships. Here we go.